Hey, what's up, guys? Today we are exploring this small town of Traben-trarbach, located by the Mosel River in Germany. Traben-trarbach on the Middle Moselle is a town in the Bernkastel-Wittlich district in Rhineland-Palatinate in Germany. It is the seat of the same name in the state-recognized climatic spa. The city lies in the so-called Valley of Dawn. It has been mentioned as early as 830 as the Aakerhof estate. Emperor Louis the Pious, Charlemagne's son, donated Traben with all its rights and privileges, and its appurtenances, namely Litzig, Rischbach, Irmenach, and Beuren, to the minister at Aachen, where the German kings were crowned. In the 17th century, the town was part of what was then known as the Rhenish Franconia, a strategic area fought over by France and the Holy Roman Empire. Seized by France in the 1683–84 War of Reunions, Traben was the location for the new fortress of Mont-Royal, constructed by Vauban, the leading military engineer of the period. But despite the enormous cost, it was demolished when the French withdrew following the 1697 Treaty of Ryswick, and the only lower foundations are visible today. All today's village, with the exception of a part of Kautenbach, belonged to the county of Sponheim, which main center was Trarbach. After the comital family of Sponheim died out, the inheriting landholders formed the county into a Palatine Padish condominium and had their residences elsewhere in the county, namely in Birkenfeld and Castellun. Trarbach was also the seat of the Palatine Oberamt. In 1816, the area around Trarbach was annexed to Prussia, with Trarbach itself becoming the seat of the mayoralty. Against expectation, however, it was the town of Zell rather than Trarbach that was made the district seat, even though the latter was the biggest place in the new district of Zell. The mayoralty of Trarbach was dissolved in 1884 and administered thereafter in a personal reunion with the new mayoralty of Traben. In the Great Fire of July 21, 1857, almost all of Trarbach fell victim to the flames. Of the 1,700 inhabitants, 1,400 became homeless. In 1898, the first bridge was built between the two centers, plans drawn by Bruno Moring. The bridge, which was blown after in the last days of the Second World War in 1945, was at the same time also the first road bridge between Bernkastel and Koblenz. The next bridges were only built in 1924 in Cochem and between 1951 and 53 in Zell. In the late 19th century, Traben and Trarbach together with Reichenhall became the first municipalities in Germany that installed electric street lighting from the Edison Company, today AEG. In 1904, the municipality of Traben and the town of Trarbach merged to become the town of Traben-trarbach. The next changes came on June 7, 1969, when the municipalities of Kautenbach and Wolf were merged with the town. 1 year later, the new collective municipality of Traben-trarbach was established. Religious-wise, because back in the day, the towns were part of the county of Sponheim, so the Reformation was introduced in both towns, with the town remaining even today mainly evangelical. Even though newcomers, particularly in the 19th and 20th centuries, have raised the Catholic share of the population. Today, Traben-trarbach is most notable for its wine and vineyards. They are spread out around the district. Also, there are plenty of nature trails that people can hike or bike through. And the Moselle are excellent for water activities. As for us, we will be visiting some architectural sites collected throughout the years in town. First are the sites in Traben. To the old train station and tourist information. Heavily fragmented 1 to 2 story entrance building, partly quarry stone, decorative half timbering, built in the early 20th century. Loretta's house. Residential and commercial building, a 4-story late historicist building built in 1904. Richly decorated with symbols of Sponheim's history, 11 portraits of Trabener citizens from the viticulture and wine trade, sculpted works by Bernard Wendhut. Former post office. This stately imperial 2-wing building with Art Nouveau influence was built in 1908 by the architect Dippling Conrad under the Matthias Engel Company. Old Town Hall of Traben. A 3-story late historicist slate building of 1899. Dr. Ernest Willem Spies Brunin. In the memory of the famous local historian of the city, who also made contribution to the excavations on Mont Royal of the former fortress. Moselle Castle. This property served the Moselle wine trade for decades. Built in 1901 by the wine trade house Karl Rumpel. Owned by the wine wholesaler, it is now expanded and divided into many parts, which includes a holiday and hotel complex. The Market Brunnen. Built in 1908 in Art Nouveau by the sculptor Bernard Wendhut. A historic residential and commercial building. It is 3-story and marked 1902 on its facade. The Aachen Yard. Former courtyard of the Aachen Marienstift or Marian Monastery. Mentioned in 830 by Louis the Pious. The building complex with parts from the 16th to the early 20th century. Hotel Bellevue. formerly Hotel Klaus Feist. Picturesque building, partly half-timbered, an Art Nouveau of 1903 with the architect Bruno Morin. In between, we went to check out some stores. Commander's House. It's a 5-axle mansard roof building of the first half of the 18th century. The Montreal fortress was rebuilt after 1698 with original parts on this site. Hotel Four Lions. Formerly two residential buildings, now combined as a hotel, neo-Gothic quarry stone buildings built shortly after 1890 and 95, half-timbered transition from the early 20th century. Underground. Around 1900, Traben-trarbach was one of the most important wine trading towns. It was the second largest wine trading center in Europe after the French city of Bordeaux. This soon led to the foundation of more than 100 wine companies. For this reason, in the second half of the 19th century, the capacity of the wine cellars in the town was increased. And so it is the only town on the Moselle that cellars were built underneath large areas of the town center, some several stories deep and with over 100-meter long vaults. Unfortunately, you have to do a tour to see the underground, and now it's closed for us. Half of the Moselle Bridge. Abutment of the bridge with a staircase. Now we're crossing the bridge to Trarbach, and we are gonna go see the sights over there. First is the bridge gate. The gate and tower are of neo-Gothic with Art Nouveau, built around the late 19th to early 20th century with a design by Bruno Morin. To know more about it, check out the description below for the link. Middle Moselle Museum. The building, built in 1755 in the Baroque style of the Trier by the family John Adolphe Backing. It has been the museum since 1955. Trarbach Town Hall. Originally built in 1843 to 44, but suffered during the Great Fire of 1857, the facade was preserved in neoclassicism. City Tower, also known as the White Tower, which originates from the 14th century. It was the northwest corner tower of the town fortification and stands completely preserved to this day. The town fortification originally had 7 towers, of which only 2 are still standing. The tower serves as an observation tower whose viewing deck offers a fine view over the double town on the Moselle. Buddha Museum. Elongated quarry stone building in Art Nouveau style, a tower-like arcades on the side. built around 1906 to 7 by architect Bruno Morin. A former winery, Julius Kaiser and Company, but became a museum in 2009. Bayleaf House, built around the late 17th century and became an office building at 1778 and in 1796 a French barracks. From 1813 to 1904 it was a high school, then became a district court in 1971. Stork Support, a press house and vaulted cellar of 14th century and used to owned by the Counts of Sponheim. Oberamstegaubau, a former high office building essentially from the 16th century, but was remodeled in a classical style in 1833. A residential house, a stately 2.5-story quarry stone building of mid-19th century. Mont Royal Mill, built in 1688 to supply the fortress and was not destroyed when they were razed by fire. The mill operated until 1963. Louis Klein Winery, a 3-story main building and 1-story cellar wing, built in Neo-Renaissance architecture of 1897. Pipe Fountain, at the street level before the fire of 1857. The water from its source in the Mühlenreckberg through the pipes into the city. A residential and inn, a stately 3-story half-timbered building, partly solid, mansard roof, built in 1763 but might be older. A residential and commercial building, a narrow 3-story half-timbered house, partly solid, built in 1761. House Kaiser, a 5-axle house, Rococo, built in 1762 by architect Johannes Seyss. The Catholic Parish Church of St. Nicholas. It was not until 1875 that the Catholics of Traben-trarbach received their first own parish church. The neo-Gothic sacred building was extended in 1968 by a new building stretching across the Kautenbach. Villa Wolferweg II, built in 1884 in Neo-Renaissance. The Big Double-Head Sculpture by Jürgen Waxweiler. It rises like an elongated large T in the center of the traffic island. The view of the double head goes on one hand over the Moselle to the district of Traben and on the other hand in the direction of Trarbach. In terms of the content, the sculpture addresses seeing. The double head watches over the double city like a guard, in 2 directions, alternately forward and backward. It was erected in September 9, 2011. Lastly, Grevenberg. Remains of a foundations and the commander's apartment of the castle, extended around 1350, rebuilt in 1687 as part of the Mont Royal fortress.
Addio, 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 die schluckenden Sterne und Länder so ferne und heißt es auch addio, 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 uns trennen keine Sterne, noch Länder so ferne. Morgen bist du weit, aber Dank für diese schöne Zeit. Ich weiß, dass ich dich nicht verliere, auf viel tausend Meilen von mir, mein Herz bleibt bei dir, für immer bei dir. Addio, 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 die schluckenden Sterne und Länder so ferne und heißt es auch addio, addio.
I hope you guys enjoy our tour of the town. Until next time, bye! So guys, if you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and feel free to comment.
Hit the bell, hit the bell, hit the bell, hit the bell. Come on guys, hit the bell. For notifications. And don't forget to share. And like.